This is TWiT.
So obviously in this new phase of VR that we're in right now, one of the early, if not kind of like the reason that this phase seems to exist right now is Palmer Luckey. Palmer Luckey, you spend a lot of the book. I'd say the majority of the book focuses in many ways on Palmer Luckey, but that's because you had pretty good access to Palmer Luckey in your work with Forbes, right?
Yeah, I did one of the first cover stories on Palmer for the magazine a little bit after they did their big Kickstarter where the Rifts first started getting attention. And I focus a lot on them just because obviously they are one of the most important companies in this space right now. They're the one that Facebook bought for $2 billion. They're at the center of all this, but also because Palmer is just such an interesting character. And I think ties in a lot of ways to the guys who brought us earlier technologies. I don't know if people know much about like the invention of television, but there was a young kid named Philo Farnsworth who invented this thing and soon afterwards got the technology sort of taken away from him by a rich dude who ran a media company, and then Philo sort of disappeared into obscurity. And I'm definitely seeing some increasing correlation between the Palmer Luckey story and what some of these previous entrepreneurs are doing. But Oculus, if as much as Valve and some of these other companies involved right now, is they're the ones really pushing this technology forward. And the Rift, I think, was super important because it was the first headset of this new generation. For a lot of people, it was the first time they tried a VR headset and was like, whoa, are you kidding me? Like, this actually works. You have VR that works. And they really broke ground in a lot of ways.
And even before people had the ability to try this, one thing I definitely gained from this book was a better understanding, a better perspective of Palmer Luckey as an individual and as a technologist and just driver of this technology. You really get a sense from the book how genuine his interest has been along the way, not in necessarily enriching himself, because for much of the time that seemed to be a very low priority for him. It was all about taking his obsession with VR from his childhood and figuring out some way to make it a reality. You talk about kind of his involvement with the forums and in the forum community, and he's working on prototypes not because he's looking to market it or turn it into a company. He's just doing it because like he's having fun with it, and he's pulling in all the information and help from these other people around the world who are all participating on a forum and just want to see him succeed. It was an interesting kind of window into how Oculus was born.
Yeah, Oculus is really interesting because Palmer is a very 21st century entrepreneur. He did not get involved in this because he was like, this is my way. This is the way I'm going to be a billionaire. No, he was obsessed with the Matrix and Neuromancer and video games, super into like the Final Fantasy series. He was a geek, and he had seen VR in all of these different fictional things, and then got to try it somewhere and was like, this sucks. This isn't anything like in the books. He was an engineer. He was a really talented teenager. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to see if I can make something better. And he created a forum where he shared this information with other enthusiasts. And it was for them all about like, well, why don't we make this thing that we all want to play with? And in fact, some of the early forum posts when he started putting together the Oculus Rift, he was saying to people, here's what I'm working on, here's the project. I might raise a little money to help get the hardware out, but I'm thinking I'm just going to give away the design and the hardware when it comes out. And it's funny to go through some of those forum posts because people are literally posting on there, Palmer, listen, you should sell this. Like, this should be a company. Don't just give this away. You've got something really powerful here. And so, yeah, the company was really born out of that hobbyist and hacker ethos of like, we're building this because it's something we want for ourselves. And then it becomes an even more interesting story because then, modern international mass business comes in and changes the story stuff and how like these hackers adapt and how they fit in with the corporate world. And that's still evolving. But just the way it got started, yeah, it's fascinating. It's a different kind of entrepreneurship story than we've seen a lot in history.
Yeah, and it was really interesting to me that he was able to do this at such a young age. Like, he was able to be successful creating something from the ground up, you know, and that has such a storied history as far as what people expect. He was able to do that, and seemingly, I realized there was a lot of work that went into it, but seemingly with little like effort, you know, like true like I've got to figure this out. You know, it really kind of seemed kind of fluid, and like it was just born out of passion and like, well, I'm having fun with it. At some point, it became obvious that, you know, it should become something larger. They started the Kickstarter, and then John Carmack came into the scene, and that was obviously a big game-changing moment.
Yeah, that was huge. I mean, once the Rift was a thing and Palmer was like, okay, we should start a company and we should try to get this out there, the involvement of people like John Carmack was so huge. Carmack was actually on the forum that Palmer had created, one of these internet forums talking about VR. Carmack was just one of the guys on there. And when he saw Palmer talking about his headset and what he created, he messaged Palmer and said, hey, do you mind if I check that out? And like, when the dude who wrote id, you know, who wrote all of id software, who wrote Doom, when the guy who wrote Doom says, can I play with your hardware? You're like, yeah, of course.
I think you say yes. Yeah.
yeah. And Carmack saw it and loved it, and he took it to E3 and showed it off to other people in the video game industry. And that was that first moment of other people in the power to do something with it.
Right.
Saw the technology and we're just blown away, and we're like, okay, wow, great. What is this? Where can we invest? Where can we buy it? And then with the Kickstarter, guys like Gabe Newell from Valve had a video there as part of the Kickstarter page, and like that's why the Kickstarter blew up, not because Palmer was that famous or great. Like, obviously he was an interesting character, but that Kickstarter got attention because it had John Carmack attached to it, because it had Gabe Newell attached to it. Like, it was that star power and these really respected people in the industry saying, hey, this kid's got something. It really made it blow up.